We always say there's money in the money. One of the things that keeps coming up and we see over and over is just getting the fundamentals down, the numbers to make sure you're actually making money on a flip. We want to go through all those numbers today and just understand these numbers are simple, but they're only simple if you do them a few times. Do them 3 or 4 times, then they become simple. A lot of people forget about the cost of selling and maybe the cost of carrying. We want to make sure you know all of your numbers, so before you jump into anything, you understand exactly what you're getting into. Hopefully you know what your floor is, and the ceiling can be even higher as long as you follow your numbers. One thing we always come across is, oh, this is simple for us, but it's maybe not simple for someone else. This brings me back to when one of my kids, boy Will, was in 3rd grade. We found out that he could not do simple math. They were just kind of pushing him through. We brought him into a system called Kuman, where all they did for 3 to 4 days a week is have him do simple math over and over again. After about 3/4 of a year, he actually accelerated and was above his class. That's what we want to do here, get you out of that comfort zone of numbers, do it a few times, make it simple by learning exactly the functions of what you do, and then it's so much easier to accelerate through your real estate career. So grab a piece of paper, follow along with us, maybe even watch this once or twice just to understand, get these numbers down. The faster you get the numbers down, this is going to be easier or profitable in your real estate business. Let's go through an example, and you can put your own numbers in. There's an Excel spreadsheet we have out there that you can actually put these things in so you understand too. Let's just say the after repair value, what you anticipate selling it for after it's fixed up. That big sale price number in this case is going to be $200,000. And you could put whatever number you want in here, you just need to understand the numbers that go with it. And let's just say for our example, just to make sure all the numbers come out, we're going to say our purchase price. So that's our contract price, that's the price that we've agreed to pay for it, is $120,000. Now, the purchase also comes with closing costs, and that's from the title company. That's for the loan that you're going to do. If you're going to do a loan on this, you also have to put those numbers in. So in this case, let's just put the closing costs, the title, the taxes, the insurance, all those things into one big number, and let's call that $8,000. Typically what you're going to find is on a closing, for the title, that part, it's going to be somewhere between maybe $2,000 and $3,000. Your closing cost is going to be based on your loan amount whenever you come to that. It's usually somewhere between 2 and 3 points, all encompassing from appraisals and everything. So we have our purchase price. You're going to have to come up with a number for closing costs, rehab costs. Let's just say, for instance, this property, we're going to fix it up for $20,000 because maybe we have some materials, maybe we're going to do some of the work ourselves. Whatever it be, our cost is $20,000. Insurance, $2,000. We have to add insurance. The lender's going to want property insurance in case something gets stolen. Maybe the fire comes up and it burns down. There's wind damage to the roof. Someone comes by and vandalizes it. You want to make sure you have property insurance on it also. We talked about title insurance up here, but you also have to have property insurance on the property. Now these are typically what people can figure out and do design. What we see a lot of is someone comes to us and says, I have a property, it's going to cost me all in $170,000 and I could sell it for $200,000. There's $30,000 in equity, I'm going to make that $30,000. And they forget these part, which is the holding cost. What is it going to cost you every month that you have that property? That means your interest you're paying on a loan if you have a loan. Taxes are accumulating every month. Even if you don't pay them out, you will pay them at closing. Insurance, HOA, all of those kind of things come up every month. Holding cost depends on how long it takes you to fix it up and sell it. It could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. In this case, we're just going to say it's a 4-month hold. Whatever it is, this is what it is. We calculate, just for an estimate, holding costs of about 1% of your sale price because you have the interest, you have the taxes and the HOA. If you do the numbers and it's more, you can put that in. But typically, if you take 1% a month, you could get there. We're going to put this at 4 months. So $8,000. Now you have a realtor involved. They're going to have to sell it. Another realtor is going to be involved in the buy side, the buyer side. Typically, the high end of this is 6%. Maybe you can work something out and get it down to 4%, but 6%. So in this case, it's 6% of what you're going to sell it for, because that's what their commission is. So the realtor costs are going to be $12,000. You also have closing costs to sell the property. Typically, this is a little bit lower because maybe you did a hold open, which is having the title hold open, the title policy. So it's a little bit cheaper when you sell it. Those are some of the little tricks out there. Let's just keep it the same just to make it easy. Of $3,500 for the title, the sale. You're going to have to give them an owner's policy, stuff like that that you didn't have to do up here. If we add up all these numbers, what we come to is it is going to cost us $173,500. That is the cost of us buying, rehabbing, holding, and selling the property. And you have to put all these numbers in when you're looking at a flip just to make sure it's profitable. In this case, we have a profit of $26,500. Now that's a pretty good profit when you're looking at a $200,000 house. What I wanted to go through next is some of the quick calculations, some of the percentages that you should be looking at to quickly determine if something is in the profit range or if it's something that's going to squeeze your profits down to nothing. Now that you've gone through, done a few of the numbers yourself, looked at them, let's look at a couple ways in this current market that you can look at a property and see if it's going to be profitable before you run through all the numbers. Typically, we're talking about the 100%. The 100% is your sale price. In this case, we were talking about a $200,000 property. And what percent of this should you pay for your purchase and your rehab to make sure it's profitable? In a typical market, in the last few years have been not typical just because people were overpaying for everything. But in a typical market, you do not want to be above 70%. You want to be 70% or below with your purchase price and your rehab. These are the numbers that are going to make you profitable. Really 65 in a really good market is where you should be. The loan, the closing, the insurance, all those things, this should be somewhere 5%, 6% is kind of the high end for what to anticipate here. This comes down to a few things. Making sure you have some control over both the insurance, maybe have a blanket policy, spread that out, do some more, get better credit, get better loans. The cost of those loans go down too. This could maybe shrink down to 4%, maybe 3.5%, but it's kind of in that 5 to 6% range. Holding costs are really on you. Like how long is it going to take you to buy it, fix it up, and then get it back in the market and sold? What we've seen though is if you're doing good properties, good rehabs, they're selling still quickly. It's the ones that are probably a little bit high with less of the due diligence done, they're not selling. You could figure once again of 1% of the loan amount. Let's just say this is somewhere in the 4 to 6% mark. Now this could go up to 7 or 8 just depending on how you're looking at taking your time, doing the stuff, and where your market is. The next thing is realtors. You can negotiate with realtors. Realtors are going to become more important as the market is more of a buyer's market. You're going to look at, once again, between 4 and 6% of what you're looking at. In closing, it's usually, you're looking at around 1.5% here. And what your goal is when you're all said and done here is to make sure that there's good profits in here. You want to at least make sure it's 10%, but you'd rather have it, like 10 to 15%. If you're putting 70% up here and you're wanting 15% down here, you can only spend the other 15% here. Making sure your closing costs, making sure your holding costs, maybe negotiating with your realtor. Our example that we did before, our numbers come right in at all the costs were 86.75%. Meaning what's left over for us is 13.25%. 13.25% of this. If you know these numbers and you can keep your purchase and rehab here and you can control these numbers, you kind of know between that 10, 15, maybe 12.5% of whatever the market is what you're going to walk away with. Ideally, you get into something like this and this is your floor that maybe you do a little bit better on your rehab, maybe you save some money there, maybe you cut a little bit on the purchase or some of these other numbers, your profit skyrockets, maybe you make another 5 or 10%. That is the upside. That's the beauty of real estate investing. But the one thing you need to know is your certainty. If you do all these numbers, if you stick to your numbers and don't go by emotions, that's where almost everyone getting into real estate just blows it. They know their numbers, but then they get in love with a property because they just want to do something, and then they go do it, they lose money, and then they get out of real estate investing. We want to make sure you're not only profitable in real estate investing, but you stick with it. Part of that is knowing your leverage. Leverage is at least 50% of investing. How else are you going to buy properties if you don't have money? That's why we say there's money in the money, but it's just knowing these simple things that you can learn. Take 10, 20 minutes a couple times over the next month and just run through the numbers on this. We have other great videos out there on how to calculate DSCR, how to calculate BRRRR. Get to know these so you become really knowledgeable on the money side. If you have a question, you want to go over some numbers, maybe it's a little confusing here or there, we want to make sure you understand this. This is once again something you can learn by just simply repeating it. Have any questions, have a deal, email us at mike@hardmoneymike. And as we like to say, let's make some money.